Hey everyone, it's Caroline from Caroline Adams Coaching, where we help you create a career and life that fit you. And today I wanted to talk to you about my 6 favorite money mindset affirmations. And I have to say, I'm laughing at myself because I was not always an affirmation devotee. In fact, whenever I used to hear people talk about affirmations, it would earn a giant internal eye roll from me. And I definitely am a convert. And that's part of the reason I wanted to talk to you today, actually, because I think there's something a lot of people get wrong, maybe most people get wrong about affirmations that to prevent them from being the powerful tool that they really can be. So a little bit more about my journey. I first heard of affirmations when I was reading Louise Hay, and I'm not actually sure what made me try to do them. Maybe I was rock bottom that day. And she actually advocates doing mirror work where you actually stare at yourself in the mirror and actually speak these new beliefs to yourself. And I think it was really telling of my experience that it was hard for me in the beginning to even maintain eye contact with myself. And I can't remember what the actual affirmation was that I was trying at the time, but I remember having this smirk on my face because even as I was trying out the new affirmation, I had this whole chorus internally in my brain shattering at me, kind of telling me how silly this was and why the new belief wasn't true and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a real surprise to me, as much time as I spent with myself and in my own head, when I was really forced to confront and really literally face myself with this new belief, how difficult it was. And so whatever that instinct was, I stuck with it. And, I have to say, I was happily surprised that after a few days, I felt better, and thus began my journey to embracing affirmations. And so let's roll into what probably caused me to dismiss them and what I think people still get wrong about affirmations, which is, I think, much like terms like manifestation, affirmations have become kind of a woo-woo buzzword and a stand-in to kind of suggest that all you have to do is sit on your couch and hope and the universe will respond, which is, I wish you all the luck and hope in the world, and we can't possibly think our way into solutions, right? Like, if we do, more power to you, but that's not a plan. That's just wishful thinking. And so what I really actually think is behind the power and utility of affirmations is the repetitive nature of speaking these things so much that we're able to internalize it and start to believe it enough so that we can start to take aligned action. Affirmations will not work unless you also couple them with action in that direction. And so that's why, whether it's kind of speaking it out loud to ourselves so that we can kind of start to believe it, so that we can take action in alignment with that, or whether it is speaking to other people. By the way, manifestation literally means to make something public. So it's kind of taking these private thoughts and beliefs and hopes and dreams and making them public. That is really the power of affirmations. And so we absolutely need to couple them with action. So let's get into my 6 favorites. And so I'm just going to be looking down here so I don't get them wrong. So number 1. Okay. So I always have enough. In fact, I have more than I need. And so if you ever heard anything I've ever done, I can go to a place of scarcity fairly quickly. It gets very scarce very quickly. And this whole idea is you can't create more from a place of not enough. And so for me, this is always a clue when the scarcity gremlins are chattering at me that I really need to recognize all I already have, monetary and, a full refrigerator full of delicious, nutritious food, right? So those monetary and non-monetary external things, but also the internal resources, right? Like I got myself here, right? It wasn't always a smooth road, but I got myself here because of the resourcefulness, because of the strengths, because of the skills. And so I just really encourage you to believe you already have everything you need to be successful. All the tools that you have right now today are enough to get you where you want to go. And in fact, like, what if you thought about all those things as like more than enough, right? I have more than what I need to achieve all the things that I want in my career. So try that on, play with it. Obviously, any of these things, I really invite you, make them your own, tweak them as you need. Okay, number two, I can always create more. And this one I love because it just taps into us as a source, us as this well of creativity that we can dig into. I'm not dependent on the man for everything I have, and I know how to create income. And so that kind of knowledge of, okay, when I want more to flow in, I can turn up the spigot. I can make it and have that confidence. And it is a sense of freedom and security and confidence to know that I am my own source. And so I really encourage you, like, how do you want to create more, right? And lean into how you'd answer that question. Number three, love this one. I attract money in interesting ways. And so this is one of my foundational principles. I talk a lot about this. There's a whole lesson on this, actually, or whole module on this in my money mindset course. One of the fundamental foundations of creating more abundance is understanding how we already create it. How is abundance already coming into us? So often abundance is coming at us, right? And we are batting it away and not recognizing it. And so to really have this belief of one of the ways that I attract abundance is like super interesting. I find wads of cash on the street. I get checks in the mail from random things that I never thought of, and that don't make sense. Like I get money coming to me in interesting ways. I somehow meet such amazing, interesting people that help me in so many different ways, right? Those are the interesting ways that I attract money, and I guarantee you have them too. You just have to recognize this. I was just working with a client not too long ago, and she was like, oh yeah, my grandma sends me this check every year. So monetary and non-monetary, both of them work, but these are things we need to keep at the forefront. So number four, I always figure out a way to invest in the things that are important to me. Yes. Okay. So I've shared this story before, but I've hired many coaches over the years, but when I hired my first real business coach, it was a huge financial investment, and I felt like I paid in full. And I remember feeling like a total boss when I plopped down that credit card to put all that money on, probably the biggest expenditure on my credit card ever, and maybe even to date. And I remember thinking to myself, only someone who really believes in herself as a business owner is going to make this sort of an investment. How can I extract value and make this work in whatever ways possible? And I just invite you to bet on yourself and trust that you are a good investment. I mean, there's nothing more abundant than knowing that you are going to find a way to invest in yourself or other things outside of yourself that are important to you. Number five, time is my most valuable asset. So yeah, I could go on and on about this one. This is one I think it's really only come into, what do I want to say, part of my core beliefs since I've left corporate. But yeah, I have big financial goals. I'm going to kind of keep leveling those up and upgrading and all those beautiful things. And especially the older I get, I realize how important my time is, right? And I've made so many decisions where I didn't accept certain jobs or certain offers as a coach or contracts as a coach because it took away my time or wasn't the way I wanted to spend my time. And again, like that to me is so empowering to value my time that much that I could walk away from money. And so that's a really powerful way for me. I encourage you to think about, how do you invest your time, right? And how are you investing it? Are you investing it in a way that actually brings you closer to your goals? And number six, my best money moves have been prioritizing my happiness, health, and fulfillment. So the beginning of last year, I set a priority for myself. I'm a recovering workaholic, and I can still kind of get into those patterns. And so I set a goal for myself as my health, physical, mental, psychological health being the most important thing. And I actually had to shift some things in my business to actually uphold that. And what was really cool was that I had my best business year ever. Isn't that interesting? So often that happens, right? It's like when we think doing something that is so good for us, we kind of pit these things against each other, right? Oh, if I step back, if I shift this, that's going to mean I make less. And it's often when we make the choice that is best for ourselves and for our health that we actually have these, it actually is the fuel that leads to all of these other outcomes that we want. And I think it's also really interesting because I talk about this a lot in my group course. People also associate no with scarcity. And so if we have to say no to something, right? If in prioritizing my health, I had to say no to some business opportunities, I think we kind of have this kind of embedded assumption that, that's bad, right? We're going to miss out. And in fact, I think it's the opposite. Because when we have the confidence, right, like saying no is one of the most abundant things we can do because behind it is the implicit belief that behind that no is a better yes, right? And rather than operate from the place of, oh, I'm going to lose out, I'm going to miss out, this is going to be a detriment, to being like, oh, how can no actually open up space for a better, more aligned yes? I mean, that's abundance. So whether it's health, fulfillment, or anything else, I really invite you, rather than assuming you have to sacrifice your earning potential to get the things you want, happiness, fulfillment, freedom, flexibility, time with your kids, whatever those are, really get curious about how those things can actually be the path to the financial abundance and goals that you have. So I hope this got you thinking. I hope some of them actually landed with you. Obviously, tweak them, as I said before. And then I would love to hear, I bet you guys have some amazing affirmations yourself or experiences with affirmations that you want to share. So I'd love to hear those in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon.